Lukla Airport, Nepal. This runway is short and upward sloping, and is only accessible by helicopter or small fixed-wing planes. The runway is also at high altitude, around 9,334 feet above sea level. A program titled Most Extreme Airports, broadcast on the History Channel in 2010, rated the airport as the most dangerous airport in the world. Gustav III Airport, St. Barthélemy. The small airport of Gustav III, on the Caribbean island of St. Barthélemy, provides pilots and passengers alike with some fairly grave dangers. The corridor in which the runway has been built is incredibly narrow, and planes come frighteningly close to hitting the slopes of the adjacent upland area, or plummeting into the ocean, every time they land. The good thing is that in this instance at least no one was even slightly injured. Sea Ice Runway, Antarctica. Sea Ice Runway in Antarctica is unpaved, and there is a chance the ice could crack under the weight of an airplane, which is downright terrifying. In fact, a few years ago, the runway was melting, so flights scheduled to land there were cancelled or rerouted. Now, pilots are advised to avoid landing too heavily, and to try not to sink more than 10 inches into the ice. With a vehicle as big and heavy as an airplane, that seems like a tough challenge for any pilot. Tunkuntin International Airport, Honduras. Tegucigalpa is considered to be one of the most difficult and dangerous landings for large commercial airliners in the world, largely due to its mountainous setting. It also has an extremely short runway, one of the shortest in the world at just 6,112 feet in length, which makes landing large carriers a challenge to say the least. Agati Aerodrome, Lake Shadweep, India. Seriously, that is an airport? That is precisely what you think when the captain announces landing. Looking like nothing more than just a strip of land protruding out of the heavenly blue waters, it is actually the Agati Airport in Lake Shadweep. Designed for Dornier 228 type airplanes, this is the only one serving the Lake Shadweep Islands. The Airports Authority of India had supposedly planned to extend the runway to the nearby island of Kulpati, so that an Airbus 320 or Boeing aircraft could be accommodated, but the plan was later scrapped as it would have infringed upon a turtle nesting territory. Kai Tak Airport, Hong Kong. Kai Tak International was Hong Kong's main airport from 1925 to 1998, when it closed and all traffic moved to the new Hong Kong International Airport, 30 miles to the west. Surrounded by mountains and buildings, it was one of the world's most notorious for takeoffs and landings, especially on the famous Track 13, since the aircraft had to make a turn of 90 or even 180 degrees. Princess Juliana International Airport, Simpson Bay, St. Martin. This airport on the small Caribbean island of St. Martin has one of the most exhilarating or terrifying landings in the world. Planes must first fly over a tiny strip of highly populated beach, keep high enough to clear a sizable fence and finally pass just feet over a road, before they can finally land on the runway. This is a very horrifying landing, that almost takes away the fun of the roaring engines in the sun. Anchoe-Iresquin Airport, Sabah, Netherlands. The Anchoe-Iresquin Airport SAB allows no room for pilot error. If he goes even a little bit too far when trying to land, the plane will end up in the ocean below. The windy, mountainous terrain makes for a hard-to-accomplish landing. Typically, only experienced flyers pilot the airplanes that travel through SAB, and as far as we know, there have not been any major accidents. Gisborne Airport, New Zealand. Level crossings for railroad intersections in India are common, but this one in the North Island of Kiwiland pushes it a bit too far. The Palmerston North Gisborne Line railway route crosses right through the main runway. And mind you, this is a proper public airport. We are not really sure which timetable the authorities refer to for managing the airport, the train timings or the flight schedule. Kansai International Airport, Osaka, Japan. Due to land scarcity in Japan, engineers sought to build Kansai International Airport approximately 3 miles offshore into Osaka Bay. The construction of this airport started in 1987 and completed in 1994. Passengers using this airport usually get to Honshu, the main island, using the train, vehicles or even high-speed ferries. Heqijiang Airport, China. This airport opened in 2014, and to construct it, builders had to level off the top of 60 mountains in order to place the runway. To level the runway for the £85 million airport, architects used dynamite to blow off the top of the mountains. Now pilots have to navigate onto the short runway, 2,200 feet above sea level. Gibraltar International Airport, Gibraltar. At Gibraltar's airport, a highway intersects the runway. This means that whenever a flight is due to land in Gibraltar, the road has to be closed. The traffic on the Winston Churchill Avenue is kept at a standstill for about 10 minutes, to allow flights to land. As well as having to contend with traffic, the runway is also surrounded on 3 sides by the coast. Barra Airport, Scotland. For planes planning to land at Barra Airport in the Outer Hebrides, they will have to negotiate a particularly sandy terrain. It is the only airport in the world where planes are scheduled to use a beach runway. Flight times have to accommodate the tide, so when the tide is high, planes often have to either cancel their flights or delay landing. Madeira Airport, Portugal. This is another particularly short runway, based at the bottom of a slope and held up by pillars. One side of the runway teeters over the water's edge, made all the more hair-raising by often harsh wind conditions. The original runway of this airport was only 5,000 feet, thus posing a great threat even to the most experienced pilots, and as a result it limited imports and tourism.